In the vastness of space, the Galactic Council had reigned supreme for thousands of years. 27 species from across the galaxy formed this ancient alliance, governing interstellar affairs with careful diplomacy and measured progress. The Council prided itself on finding and nurturing younger civilizations, guiding them through the dangerous early stages of space exploration. Admiral Ta stood motionless on the bridge of Earth's flagship, the Defender. He was a calm, measured man, perfect for his role as humanity's representative in this unprecedented moment. Through the massive viewport, he watched as the alien vessel approached, its sleek hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. "Sir, they're requesting permission to dock," Lieutenant Kim reported, her voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. She was young but capable, having risen quickly through the ranks of Earth's Space Command. "Granted," Tay replied simply, "and inform President Park that our guests will arrive shortly." No one had expected first contact to happen this way. The Council scout ship had been mapping an unexplored sector when its navigation system malfunctioned, sending it tumbling through space until it detected Earth's signals. The Council, ever cautious, decided to initiate contact protocols. What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been watching them for years. Earth's deep space telescopes had spotted Council activity in neighboring systems, and humanity had been preparing quietly, developing technology and strategies for eventual first contact. The alien ship docked with surprising gentleness. Tai and his welcoming party waited as the airlock cycled. When the door finally opened, 4 beings stepped through. High Ambassador Rovik led the delegation. He was tall and slender with iridescent blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. Behind him came his aides, each different in appearance, but all carrying themselves with the same air of superiority. "Greetings," Rovik began in his native language, while a small device at his neck translated. "I am High Ambassador Rovik of the Galactic Council. We come in peace to welcome your species to the galactic community." Ta smiled politely. "We welcome you to Earth, Ambassador. I am Admiral Tai of Earth's Space Command." Rovik's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of surprise his species couldn't easily hide. "You understand our translator technology already?" "No need," Tay replied smoothly. "We've developed our own translation systems. Your language patterns were easy to decode from your transmissions." This was the first hint that things weren't going as the Council had expected. They had anticipated finding primitives barely able to leave their atmosphere, not a species that had already been monitoring and analyzing them. "Impressive," Rovik said, regaining his composure. "The Council will be pleased to know you are more advanced than initial scans suggested. Perhaps your scans need updating," Lieutenant Kim said with a slight smile, earning a sharp look from Ta. "Please, let us show you to the conference room," Ta said, guiding the delegation through the ship. As they walked, Rovik and his aides couldn't hide their surprise at the Defender's technology. The ship was not only functional but elegant, with systems that in some cases rivaled Council designs. In the conference room, President Park waited with Earth's diplomatic team. She was a straightforward leader who had united the planet's nations under the banner of space exploration. "Ambassador Rovik, welcome to our humble vessel," she said, extending her hand in the human custom of greeting. Rovik hesitated, then mimicked the gesture. "President Park, the Council extends its protection and guidance to Earth. We have helped many young species navigate the dangerous waters of galactic politics." "That's very kind," Park replied. "But Earth isn't seeking protection. We're looking for allies and trade partners." Rovik's translator seemed to struggle with this concept. "You misunderstand. All new species require Council oversight during their integration period. It's for your safety." Tai and Park exchanged glances. This matched their intelligence on the Council, benevolent but controlling, treating younger species as children to be guided, rather than equals to be respected. "Perhaps you'd like to see what Earth has accomplished before making assumptions about what we need," Park suggested smoothly. The tour that followed left the Council delegation increasingly puzzled. Humans had not only mastered spaceflight, but had developed unique approaches to propulsion, energy generation, and artificial gravity. Their computers were different from Council designs, but equally effective for certain applications. "How long has your species been space-capable?" Ravik asked as they observed Earth through a viewport. "We reached our moon about 80 years ago," Tai answered. "But we've made rapid progress since then." "That's impossible," one of Ravik's aides whispered. "No species advances that quickly." "Humans are adaptable," Park said with pride. "We learn fast when we need to." The final surprise came when Ravik inquired about Earth's exploration range. "We've mapped our entire solar system," Tai explained, "and we've sent unmanned probes to several nearby stars." "Unmanned only?" Ravik asked, seemingly relieved. "Well, there is the Pioneer mission," Lieutenant Kim added, earning another sharp look from Ta. "It's classified, but since we're establishing diplomatic relations." President Park nodded her approval. "3 months ago, we successfully tested our first faster-than-light system," Tai explained. "A small crew visited the Proxima Centauri system and returned safely." The silence that followed was profound. According to Council records, no species had ever developed FTL travel independently. It was always introduced by the Council after centuries of supervision. "You've left your solar system already?" Ravik finally managed to ask. "Just a brief visit," Park said modestly. "We're still working out the details for longer journeys." Ravik seemed to be having trouble processing this information. "The Council will need to be informed immediately." "This changes the nature of our contact protocols." "Of course," Park agreed. "In fact, we would be honored if you would allow an Earth delegation to accompany you back to the Council. We're eager to establish formal relations." "That would be unprecedented," Ravik said slowly. "So is our meeting," Ta pointed out. "Sometimes, Ambassador, unprecedented events call for unprecedented responses." After a moment of consideration, Ravik nodded. "Very well. The Council must see this for themselves." As the aliens returned to their ship to make arrangements, Tai turned to President Park. "They're afraid of us," he said quietly. Park nodded. They expected primitive beings grateful for their guidance. Instead, they found equals. "Not equals in their eyes," Lieutenant Kim added. "That's the problem." "Then we'll have to convince them," Park decided. "Prepare the diplomatic vessel. Choose our best and brightest to represent Earth. The Galactic Council is about to meet humanity on terms they never expected." As Tai left to carry out her orders, he couldn't help but smile. Humanity had prepared for this moment for decades, hoping first contact would be peaceful but ready if it wasn't. Now they faced a different challenge: convincing an ancient interstellar government that Earth deserved respect, not patronage. The journey ahead would be difficult, but humans had always thrived on challenges. The Council ship glided through space with Dr. Hannah and 3 other human representatives on board. Hannah watched the stars streak past, still amazed that she was traveling faster than light. As Earth's leading quantum physicist, she had been chosen to explain human technological achievements to the Council. "Are you comfortable, Doctor?" asked Ravik, approaching with a drink that glowed faintly blue. "Yes, thank you," Hannah replied, accepting the beverage. "Your ship is impressive. It is standard Council design," Ravik said with a hint of pride. "This vessel is actually quite old by our standards, nearly 50 years. Hannah nodded politely, not mentioning that the Defender had been built in just 2 years. Humans had always been good at doing things quickly when motivated. "I would like to understand more about your propulsion system," Ravik continued. "Our scans detected unusual energy patterns from your vessels." "I'd be happy to explain the basics," Hannah said, "though I should note that some details remain classified until formal relations are established." Ravik made a gesture of understanding with his 4-fingered hand. "Of course, the Council respects intellectual property rights of all species." Later that day, Hannah found herself in the ship's science bay with Chief Scientist Lorne. The alien was shorter than Rovik with gray skin and large, sensitive eyes adapted for detail work. These are the approved schematics for our standard drive, Hannah explained, displaying holographic images from her tablet. We call it the gravity wave engine. Lauren studied the designs with increasing confusion. This configuration, it contradicts several laws of physics as we understand them. Not contradicts, Hannah corrected gently. Circumvents. We approach gravity as a wave function rather than a constant force. But that would mean. Lauren's voice trailed off as he made calculations on his own device. This shouldn't work. The energy requirements alone would be. We solved the energy problem by incorporating quantum tunneling, Hannah interrupted. It creates a feedback loop that generates more energy than it consumes. Lauren stared at her. That's perpetual motion. It's impossible. Not perpetual, just efficient, Hannah said with a smile. The system eventually degrades, but it lasts about 15 years before requiring an overhaul. The alien scientist fell silent, entering data rapidly into his device. Hannah waited patiently. She had expected disbelief. It was the normal reaction when humans shared their technological approaches with each other, let alone with aliens. May I ask, Lauren finally said, how your species developed this technology? Most civilizations follow a predictable pattern of technological evolution. But this, he gestured at the hologram. This is a conceptual leap that should take centuries of groundwork. Hannah considered her answer carefully. Humans think differently from each other. Some of us follow logical patterns, step by step. Others make intuitive leaps. Our greatest achievements often come when these different thinkers work together. Different thinking patterns within the same species. Lauren sounded fascinated. How inefficient. Inefficient but effective, Hannah replied. Diversity of thought creates opportunities for breakthrough. The conversation was interrupted when Captain Sun entered the science bay. Dr. Hannah, the ambassador has requested your presence in the communication room. The council is demanding more information about our wormhole experiments. Lauren's eyes widened. Wormhole experiments. You mentioned nothing about this. It wasn't relevant to our propulsion discussion, Hannah said simply, following Sun from the room. In the communication chamber, a holographic projection showed 3 senior council members. Their species were different, but their expressions shared the same concern. Explain these wormhole experiments, demanded the central figure, identified as High Counselor Ilara. Our records show your civilization should be at least 300 years from such technology. Your records are based on the typical development path, Captain Sun replied. Humans took a different approach. A dangerous approach, said another counselor. Artificial wormholes have collapsed entire star systems when attempted prematurely. Dr. Hannah stepped forward. With respect, counselors, our approach minimizes those risks. We don't force open spatial rifts as I understand your scientists attempted. Instead, we create quantum entanglement between 2 points and gradually expand the connection. The counselors conferred among themselves in hushed tones. Can you demonstrate this technology? Elara finally asked. Not on this vessel, Sun replied. The equipment is too large for transport, but we've successfully created stable wormholes large enough for data transmission between Earth and Mars. We're scaling up for matter transport next year. This is unprecedented, the third counselor muttered. No species has ever developed this technology independently. Perhaps that's why our approach works, Hannah suggested. We weren't constrained by established thinking. The communication ended soon after, with the council requesting extensive documentation on human technological capabilities. As the hologram faded, Ambassador Jin joined them, looking troubled. They're afraid of us, he observed. That wasn't the impression we wanted to make. Fear can lead to respect if handled properly, Sun replied. Did you see their reaction when Dr. Hannah explained our wormhole theory? They realized we solved a problem they've struggled with for generations. Hannah nodded. Their approach to wormhole generation is fundamentally flawed. They're trying to punch through space-time directly, rather than working with its natural properties. Can you explain that in terms a diplomat might understand? Jin asked with a small smile. They're trying to break down a door with a battering ram, Hannah said. We're finding the key. As the Council ship approached the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council headquarters, the human delegation gathered to prepare for their arrival. Through the viewport, they could see hundreds of ships from different worlds docked at the station. Remember, Jin instructed, we represent all of humanity now. Our goal is to establish peaceful relations, not to intimidate or challenge the Council's authority, while also not accepting second-class status, Sun added firmly. A difficult balance, Jin acknowledged. But humans are good at difficult things. The ship docked smoothly at the station. As the delegation prepared to disembark, Rovik approached them one last time. I must warn you, the ambassador said. Many council members view new species as primitive. They may be condescending or dismissive. We're used to being underestimated, Jin replied with a diplomatic smile. I no longer underestimate you, Rovik said seriously. After reviewing your technological achievements, I believe humanity may represent something new in the galaxy. Whether that is a blessing or a threat remains to be seen. As they walked through the airlock into the station, Dr. Hana couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had accomplished in decades what had taken other species centuries, not through any inherent superiority, but through their unique combination of creativity, determination, and willingness to try approaches others considered impossible. The massive council chamber awaited them, filled with representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations. None of them expected what humanity would bring to the galactic community. None of them were prepared for the changes that would follow. The doors opened, and the human delegation stepped forward into history. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched before the human delegation like a massive amphitheater. Curved rows of seats rose in tiers around a central speaking platform, each section designed to accommodate the different physiologies of the 27-member species. Light filtered down from an enormous dome overhead, creating the impression of standing beneath an alien sky. Ambassador Jin led the small group of humans forward, maintaining a dignified pace despite his racing heart. Behind him walked Captain Sun, Dr. Hana, and Trade Minister Seok, each chosen for their expertise and composure under pressure. The humans have arrived, announced a melodic voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The Council recognizes the representatives of Earth. Thousands of eyes, some with multiple pupils, others with compound structures, a few that didn't look like eyes at all, turned toward the humans. Jin had been briefed on the major species, but seeing them all together was overwhelming. There were beings with scales, fur, exoskeletons, crystalline structures, and body types that defied easy description. We thank the Honorable Council for this audience, Jin said, his voice calm and measured. The translation system carried his words to each council member in their native language. High Counselor Ilara rose from her seat at the center of the assembly. She belonged to the Lumidian species, tall, graceful beings with luminescent skin that shifted colors with their emotions. Currently, she glowed a cautious yellow. Earth has not been formally invited to send representatives, she noted. Your presence here is unprecedented. As is humanity's development, Jin replied smoothly. Ambassador Rovik felt our situation warranted direct communication. Rovik, seated in his species section, gave a slight nod when attention turned to him. The humans have achieved technological milestones that deserve council attention, Rovik confirmed. Their development timeline is unusual. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Jin recognized this as a pivotal moment. First impressions would shape everything that followed. Esteemed counselors, he began, humanity comes seeking friendship and cooperation. We have recently ventured beyond our solar system and wish to establish peaceful relations with the galactic community. Recently, interrupted a harsh voice. A reptilian being with azure scales rose from the middle tier. According to your own statements, your species only achieved basic spaceflight 80 years ago. Now you claim faster-than-light capabilities and wormhole technology. Jin recognized him from the briefing materials. Counselor Vexer of the Dreth Confederation, known for their conservative views and suspicion of newer species. That is correct, Counselor, Jin confirmed. Humans progress rapidly when challenged. Too rapidly, Vexer insisted, his scales rattling, a sign of agitation. No species develops so quickly without assistance. The implication was clear. The counselor suspected humans had stolen their technology. Dr. Hana stepped forward before Jin could respond. With respect, Counselor, human innovation often follows different patterns than other species. We have short lifespans and historically faced many threats on our homeworld. These factors encouraged rapid adaptation and technological development. Explain your wormhole technology, demanded another counselor. This one a crystalline being whose faceted body sparkled under the chamber lights. Hana nodded and projected a hologram from her handheld device. Our approach utilizes quantum entanglement as a foundation. Instead of forcing space-time to bend, we create connections between particles and gradually expand the field. She explained the basics of the theory, deliberately omitting certain key details while making the general principles clear. Several council scientists leaned forward, their attention fixed on the elegant mathematical models displayed in the hologram. This contradicts established physics, protested a council scientist. It complements established physics, Hana corrected gently. Your approach attempts to overcome natural resistance. Ours works with existing quantum principles. The debate that followed was intense but respectful. Various council members questioned different aspects of human technology, society, and intentions. Jin and his team answered honestly but carefully, aware of the delicate balance they needed to maintain, demonstrating humanity's capabilities without appearing threatening. There remains a fundamental concern, Counselor Elara said after the technical discussions subsided. The Council has protocols for integrating new species. Typically, a civilization at your development stage would receive guidance and oversight for at least a century before being granted limited autonomy within Council space. Jin had anticipated this. It aligned with everything Earth's intelligence had gathered about the Council's approach to younger species. While we appreciate the Council's wisdom, Jin replied, Earth seeks recognition as an independent entity capable of determining its own path while respecting galactic laws and norms. Vexer's scales rattled again. Unacceptable. The humans must be monitored and restricted until we can be certain they pose no threat. Their development is too rapid, too unpredictable. Is innovation now considered threatening? Captain Sun asked, speaking for the first time. Though his tone remained respectful, there was steel in his voice. Humanity has achieved what we have through creativity and determination, not aggression or theft. Your military capabilities suggest otherwise, Vexer countered. Our scans detected weapon systems on your vessels. Defensive systems, Sun corrected, as any prudent explorer would maintain. The debate grew more heated, with various factions forming among the council members. Some were fascinated by human potential, others concerned about the implications of such rapid advancement, and a few openly hostile to the idea of another independent power in the galaxy. After hours of discussion, Counselor Elara called for order. It is clear that Earth represents a unique case that requires careful consideration. I propose a temporary designation of provisional observation status, while we— If I may, Counselor, Jin interrupted politely but firmly. Earth did not come here seeking status or classification. We came seeking dialogue between equals. He paused, letting his words sink in, then continued with greater intensity. In the spirit of that dialogue, allow me to demonstrate something. Jin opened a small case he had brought with him and removed 3 objects. Each was a small puzzle, physical challenges that the Council had documented in their public archives as unsolved theoretical problems. These are solutions to 3 challenges the Council has worked on for generations, Jin explained, placing them on the central platform. The first addresses sustainable antimatter containment. The second demonstrates efficient quantum computing without decoherence issues. The third provides a mathematical proof for predicting wormhole stability. A stunned silence fell over the chamber. These are theoretical problems, someone finally protested. They have no practical solutions. They do now, Jin replied simply. Humanity offers these solutions freely, as a gesture of goodwill and cooperation. Council scientists rushed forward to examine the devices and mathematical proofs. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to astonishment as they verified that the solutions were valid. This changes everything, Alara said quietly. The Council must reconsider its approach. As the Council erupted into debate once more, Jin exchanged glances with his team. This was only the beginning. They had demonstrated human potential, but the real challenges lay ahead. Earning respect was one thing. Building true partnership would be far more difficult. Yet in the faces of some council members, Jin saw something beyond surprise or concern. He saw hope that this unexpected species might bring new perspectives to ancient problems, and that, he believed, was worth all the struggles to come. For 3 days, the human delegation had been engaged in intense negotiations with various council factions. Ambassador Jin was tired but satisfied with their progress. Several species had shown genuine interest in cooperation with Earth, though others remained skeptical or outright hostile. Jin was walking with Dr. Hannah toward the diplomatic quarters when alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed along the corridors, and a computerized voice repeated an announcement in multiple languages. Security breach in sectors 7 through 9. All personnel evacuate to designated safe zones. This is not a drill. Council security officers rushed past them, heading toward what Jin presumed was the source of the trouble. What's happening? Jin asked a passing Lumidian officer. Drakari attack, the officer replied tersely. Somehow they've bypassed our outer defenses. Get to safety immediately. Jin and Hannah exchanged worried glances. The Drakari were known to them from council records, a species that had refused membership centuries ago and occasionally raided council territories. They were supposed to be contained by the council's defensive network. We need to find Captain Sun and Minister Siak, Jin said firmly. They changed direction, moving against the flow of evacuating personnel. When they reached the human quarters, they found Sun already organizing their response. The Drakari have deployed some new weapon technology, Sun explained quickly. It creates a phase shift that lets their weapons pass right through the station's shields. How bad is it? Jin asked. Bad, Sun replied grimly. 3 council ships destroyed already. The station's outer ring has been breached in multiple locations. Minister Siak looked up from his communication device. I've been monitoring council channels. Their defense systems are failing against this attack. Jin made a quick decision. Captain, what defensive capabilities did we bring with us? The diplomatic vessel has limited armaments, Sun said, but we do have the prototype quantum defense system on board. The QDS hasn't been fully tested, Dr. Hannah warned. We don't have the luxury of perfect testing conditions, Jin replied. If it works as theorized, it might counter the Drakari phase technology. A loud explosion rocked the station, causing the lights to flicker. They're getting closer to the central hub, Siak reported. Jin nodded. Let's move. The human team made their way to the docking bay where their vessel was secured. Council security checkpoints had been abandoned in the chaos, allowing them to reach their ship quickly. Captain Sun immediately took the command position, while Dr. Hannah rushed to the science station. Activating QDS, she announced, her fingers flying over the controls. Power level stable. The system is online but untested in actual combat conditions. We'll test it now, Sun said grimly. Ambassador, I need clearance to engage. Jin knew this moment could define humanity's relationship with the Council for generations. Interfering in a Council security matter without permission was dangerous diplomatically. Failing to help when they had the capability would be unconscionable. You have clearance, Jin decided, but target only the Drakari weapon systems if possible. We want to neutralize the threat, not escalate the conflict." Sun nodded and maneuvered their vessel out of the docking bay. The scene that greeted them was chaos. Drakari attack ships firing on the station, while Council vessels struggled ineffectively to intercept them. "Council Defense Command, this is Earth Vessel Harmony," Sun transmitted. "We have technology that may counter the Drakari phase weapons. Request permission to assist." The response was immediate. "Earth Vessel, this is Council Security Chief Thraz. The situation is critical. Any assistance is welcome, but be advised we cannot guarantee your safety." "Understanding the risks," Sun replied, moving to engage. Dr. Hana's voice was tense but controlled. "QDS deployment ready. The system will create a field of quantum-entangled particles that should disrupt the phase technology." "Deploy," Sun ordered. From the Harmony, dozens of small devices launched in a scattered pattern. To Council sensors, they barely registered, existing in a state of quantum uncertainty until activated. "What are those?" Thraz demanded over the communication channel. "Quantum entanglement mines," Sun explained. "They don't fully exist in normal space until triggered by specific energy signatures." The Drakari ships continued their attack pattern, apparently unaware of the invisible threat now surrounding them. When they fired their phase-shifted weapons again, the mines suddenly materialized directly in their path. The effect was immediate and dramatic. As the Drakari energy beams encountered the quantum field, they destabilized. Some weapon systems overloaded, while others simply ceased functioning. "It's working," Hana exclaimed, monitoring the readings. "The phase shift requires quantum stability. Our minds are creating enough uncertainty in local spacetime to disrupt their technology." 3 Drakari vessels, suddenly vulnerable without their advanced weapons, were quickly disabled by Council defensive fire. The others began to retreat, clearly confused by the unexpected failure of their supposedly unstoppable technology. "Council vessels, target their engines but avoid destruction if possible," Sun suggested over the open channel. "Prisoners provide information. Destroyed enemies tell us nothing." There was a pause before Thraz replied. "Understood. Adjusting targeting protocols." The combined Council and Earth forces managed to capture 4 Drakari vessels intact while the others retreated. As the crisis subsided, the Harmony returned to its docking bay. Council Security Chief Thraz was waiting for them, along with a delegation of senior officials. The Reptilian Security Chief studied the humans with new respect in his compound eyes. "Your intervention was timely," he said, which seemed to be the closest he could come to expressing gratitude. "This quantum technology of yours is unknown to our scientists. It's still experimental," Dr. Hana explained. "We developed it as a defensive measure against certain theoretical weapons. We never had the opportunity to test it in actual combat until today." "You risked an untested defense against a known deadly threat?" another Council official asked, sounding both impressed and concerned. "We calculated the potential risks and benefits," Sun replied simply. "The math favored action over inaction." Security Chief Thraz made a gesture that his translator interpreted as respectful acknowledgement. "The Council has contained Drakari aggression for centuries, yet today they nearly succeeded in attacking our headquarters. Without your intervention, the casualties would have been significant." Ambassador Jin stepped forward. "Earth did only what any ally would do. We hope this demonstrates our commitment to peaceful cooperation and mutual security." Word of the humans' actions spread quickly through the station. Species that had been skeptical now looked at the Earth delegation with new interest. Those who had championed human inclusion felt vindicated. Even those who remained suspicious could not deny that humans had acted to protect the Council rather than exploit its moment of vulnerability. As Jin and his team were escorted to emergency accommodations, their quarters having been damaged in the attack, Council members from various species approached them with gestures of thanks and respect. "The Council chamber discussion tomorrow will be different," Thraz observed as he left them at their new quarters. You came seeking recognition and found opportunity in crisis. Such is the way of history. Jin watched the security chief depart, then turned to his team. Today we showed them what humans can do. Tomorrow we must show them who humans are. 6 months after the Drakari attack, Ambassador Jin stood in the antechamber of the Grand Council chamber. The room was quiet, but his mind was not. Today, after lengthy negotiations, the Council would vote on Earth's status in the galactic community. Nervous? Asked Dr. Hana, adjusting her formal attire. The blue diplomatic uniform had been designed specifically for this occasion, incorporating subtle elements from various Council species' ceremonial clothing. Cautiously optimistic, Jin replied with a small smile. We've come further than anyone expected. Captain Sun joined them, his posture perfect as always. The security escort is ready. Apparently, it's tradition for new members to be formally presented. If we become members, Minister Siok reminded them. The vote isn't certain. The doors opened, and Council Adjutant Lear entered. The small, feathered being had been their liaison throughout the negotiations. It is time, Lear announced. The Council awaits you. The human delegation followed Lear through a series of corridors until they reached the grand entrance to the Council chamber. Unlike their first appearance months ago, this time they entered with proper ceremony. Honor guards from 7 different species flanked the walkway, representing the Council factions that had supported Earth's candidacy. The chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 27 member species were present, along with observers from non-member worlds. Jin kept his face composed, though his heart raced as they walked to the central platform. High Counselor Elara rose from her seat, her skin glowing a formal blue. This session of the Galactic Council is called to order. Today we decide on Petition 7293, the status of Earth within the galactic community. She gestured to a large display, showing the results of months of investigations, cultural exchanges, and technological assessments. It is unprecedented to offer full Council membership to a species so young, Elara continued. The standard integration period is no less than 3 centuries. Yet these humans have demonstrated capabilities and perspectives that may benefit the Council significantly. Councillor Vexer, still opposed to full membership, rose next. We must not rush this decision. The humans' rapid technological development remains concerning. Their unpredictable nature could destabilize established galactic order. Their unpredictable nature saved this very chamber, countered Security Chief Thras. When our defenses failed against the Drakari, human innovation prevailed. The debate continued, with various councillors speaking for and against Earth's membership. Jin listened carefully, noting which arguments gained traction and which were dismissed. Finally, Elara called for the vote. All representatives will now register their position on Petition 7293. A tense silence fell over the chamber as each species cast their vote. Jin watched the display as the tally updated in real time. Some votes were expected. Longtime allies of humanity's supporters voting yes, conservative factions voting no. Others were surprising, with previously neutral parties declaring positions. When the final vote was registered, Elara studied the results for a moment before speaking. By a vote of 19 in favor, 5 opposed, and 3 abstaining, Petition 7293 is approved. Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, becoming the 28th member species. A mixture of sounds filled the chamber, applause from some species, trilling calls from others, and the low drone that passed for cheering among the crystalline beings. Jin allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before stepping forward to address the council. Esteemed councillors, Earth accepts this honor with gratitude and humility, he began. However, we must ensure our relationship begins with complete understanding. The chamber quieted as Jin continued. Earth accepts membership with conditions that have been outlined in our proposal. We will not be a subordinate member. We seek true partnership based on mutual respect and cooperation. Vexer's scales rattled in agitation. Conditions. No new member has ever joined under these circumstances. Jin interrupted smoothly. Earth brings unique perspectives and technologies to the Council. We ask only for the freedom to continue our development while contributing to the greater galactic community. Ilara studied him for a long moment before responding. Your conditions have been reviewed and found acceptable, Ambassador Jin. Earth will have the same voting rights and responsibilities as all Council members, with the agreed-upon provisions for independent technological development. She paused, then added, "We expect great things from this partnership." 1 solar year later, the first phase of the Galactic Exchange Program was reaching completion. Thousands of humans had traveled to Council worlds to share ideas, while alien scholars and scientists had come to Earth. New technologies emerged from these collaborations at an unprecedented rate. Jin, now serving as Earth's first Council representative, stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Embassy on the Council homeworld. The massive structure combined human architectural elements with alien materials, creating a building that symbolized the new relationship between Earth and the Council. "Quite a view," said Dr. Hana, joining him at the window. She had remained on the Council homeworld as Earth's science liaison, coordinating research projects between human and alien scientists. "It's changed so much in just 1 year," Jin observed, watching the bustling activity below where humans and aliens work together. "Not just the view," Hana replied. "The Council itself is changing. 3 species have already revised their governmental structures to incorporate elements of Earth's democratic systems." Jin nodded. "And the Joint Fleet exercises have revolutionized Council defense protocols. Captain Sun tells me the Drakari haven't attempted any incursions since our quantum shield technology was deployed throughout Council space." "Speaking of technology," Hana said, "the wormhole transportation network has completed its first successful test. Travel time between Earth and the Council homeworld will soon be reduced from weeks to minutes." A soft chime interrupted their conversation. Jin checked his communication device. "The Council session is about to begin," he said. "They're voting on the Educational Reform Initiative today." "Another human idea that's gaining traction," Hana noted with a smile. "Who would have thought our approach to teaching children would be so revolutionary to species thousands of years older than us?" Jin gathered his materials and prepared to leave. "That's our greatest contribution, I think. Not our technology or our resources, but our perspective. We see possibilities where others see only established patterns." As Jin walked toward the Council chamber, he reflected on how far humanity had come. From a single planet to a respected voice in galactic affairs in less than a century. The path hadn't been easy, and challenges remained. Some Council species still viewed humans with suspicion, and humanity itself was still adapting to its new place in the universe. Yet the future looked brighter than anyone could have imagined. Human creativity combined with Council wisdom was solving problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. New technologies, new social systems, and new understanding flourished in this unprecedented partnership. The doors to the Council chamber opened before him. Inside, representatives of 28 species, now including humans, gathered to shape the future of the galaxy. Jin took his seat among them, no longer an outsider but an equal. What had begun as an accidental discovery, a malfunctioning scout ship stumbling upon Earth, had led to a transformation that would echo through the cosmos for generations to come. The galaxy would never be the same. And as Ambassador Jin prepared to cast Earth's vote on a measure that would reshape education throughout Council space, he couldn't help but smile. This was just the beginning.